Yeah, man, it's the one and only DJ Chase. We are here today. We are back with the one, the only homeboy, the legend. All right, you heard him on some classic Yin Yang Twins tracks. You heard him on some tracks with BG. You heard him on WWE's Intent. You heard him on, Coach Carter. You heard his own records, the Independent. The Guru. I would say Griffin George's legend. You know what I'm saying? The new album, How to Tame an Elephant, out now. The documentary, the Fly documentary, right now is out on Tubi. The one and only Homeboy. How you doing today, brother?
Man, always good, my bro.
For
Yeah,
sure, for
always
sure.
good.
Good, good, good. Now you know what's funny. I'm a New York boy, but I'm here in the South now. I'm in North Carolina right now, so I had
Okay.
to, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I had to get
man.
some of the Southern
So
living.
funny thing, the artist Dice Payne, that
Yeah,
I actually got on the project, he's actually in North Carolina right now.
mm,
And he's a part of the Blocks camp.
nice. Yeah, yeah, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. Now you got the documentary out, so I want to ask a lot of questions about your background because that molds who you are. A lot of people from what I was seeing, they all say that you're a good-hearted person, you're a good-spirited person, and they speak very highly of you. So now, first and foremost, you're from Griffin, Georgia, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. And how was life growing up in Griffin, Georgia for you?
Shoot, man, it's so to give the listeners to paint the picture.
Hmm.
I'm from a town where when I grew up, man, it was only one high school,
Oh wow,
like
okay,
for the whole city, right?
yeah,
So in my graduation class, it was probably 400 of us, which is like odd for the
yeah,
South,
yeah.
from a population perspective. So, man, I grew up where you didn't have any recording studios. You didn't have access to, a lot of producers. It was very suburban, rural,
Mm,
outside of the perimeter of Atlanta. So I'm on the outskirts. So they don't even
hmm.
really consider me to be from
Yeah.
like the metro area, even
Yeah,
though even though we are,
yeah.
Atlanta is like, nah, y'all from the country. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, for sure. I
so
kind of took it
so
like that, because like I said, me being new Southern, Southern boy now, I consider myself. I've been here 2 weeks, but I'm consider myself. You kind of feel that love. But one thing with the South, you guys grind, and coming up,
yeah.
your brother Pete inspired you to be a rapper. And did you know that even before that? Because I have two little brothers too, and they be doing stuff, and I'm like, you be watching me like that. So before your
Yeah.
brother Pete did music and left to the military, did you always know you wanted to do music?
Nah, man, it's funny. So I'm also artistic. So I used to
Mm.
draw a lot. I actually wanted to go to school for like cartoons and animation and
Oh
stuff.
wow, okay.
So yeah, I didn't necessarily I always loved music, like most of us
Yeah.
do, but it wasn't, like at the forefront of anything that I wanted to do until my brother kept messing with me. And then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna prove something to you. You know what I mean? So like, oh man, not at
Yeah.
all.
Got you, got you. Now, during the 80s and the 90s, Georgia is not, it wasn't the powerhouse that it is today. It definitely, we New Yorkers, we definitely didn't like I like Outkast, but a lot of New Yorkers were very stubborn. Did you
Right.
being from Griffin, Georgia, did you ever feel like discouraged being from a small city, like that you couldn't make it, because you wasn't in a big city?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Because see, like being from outside of the perimeter of Atlanta, you had it
Mm,
twofold. So it was
mm,
like, okay, I already know that, how New York actually looks at anything outside of New York trying to do hip hop. Right.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was just wasn't considered hip hop if it wasn't New York. And
yeah.
so not only did I have that aspect of it, I also had the aspect of Atlanta being a budding, city for music, trying to get their, mark
Mm,
on the game, saying, okay, anything outside of the perimeter of Atlanta, we don't want to hear that either.
mm,
So I had to fight both adversities to get,
yeah.
to where I ultimately got. Yeah.
Got you, got you. And who did you listen to growing up? You know what I'm saying? Like who are some of like the major artists? Like maybe like one or two. Who did you listen to growing up?
As far as rappers,
Yeah, rappers. Yeah. Oh, anything, any music that you listen to growing up.
man, it's as far as music, man, I listen to a lot of Stevie Wonder, listen to
Mm.
a lot of Prince, Michael Jackson, um, Donny Hathaway.
Yeah, yeah.
But when we start talking about rappers, I
Yeah.
used to listen to a Kilo Ali, from Georgia. A lot of people don't know anything about. I used to listen to MC Shadi.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to listen to LL Cool J, of course, and Ice Cube and NWA, kind of growing up. So I listened to a multitude of things.
Mm.
And then like when Busta Rhymes, Leaders of the New School kind of came out, did what they did. Like I was a big Busta Rhymes fan. Still am, man. Like he's still to me one of the
Yeah.
best MCs as well as entertainers.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen him on concert a few times, and he always the best one.
Yeah.
Always the best one. Yeah, always the best
Yeah.
one. And how did you come up with the name Homebwoi from Psycho? How'd you get? You was psychopathic and psycho, and then you got Homebwoi. That ain't nowhere near each
Yeah.
other. How'd you get that?
Yeah, man. So funny. I was in a local rap group with 10 other members. So we were trying to be like the Southern Wu-Tang Clan, right? So we had
Yeah.
groups within that clique. And I was the shortest one, but I was also the one that had the most energy out of everybody.
Got you.
So when we would go perform and do shows, because it was so many of us, they would just always say, "Man, homeboy right there, homeboy right there, homeboy right there." And I heard it so much to where I was like, you know what? I think it'll be dope if I take the name Homeboy and put a face to it. So I'm gonna be the face of Homeboy. So every time somebody say Homeboy, I want them to think about me. And so that's how it came about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super dope. Now, one thing I did notice that both of your parents are super duper supportive. Well, it's supportive and were supportive of your career. Once again, that's very important for new artists. Because like I said, a lot of artists, they don't get support. You feel me? And did that help your focus? That your mom, you had such a supportive family. Did that help you like motivate you more?
It helped me a couple ways. So my mom got super supportive after I proved
Got you.
that I could
Okay.
do it. So for her,
Got
she
you.
was the one. She was the parent saying, "No,
Mm.
no, hell no, not no music. You going to school, you going to college." So
Yeah.
that was her train of thought. And I had uncles that were in local gospel groups and stuff, and so she was like, "Yeah, I've watched my brother try to do this. My brother wasn't able to do it. I'm not gonna, you're gonna go to school." But my dad, on the other hand,
Yeah.
but like again, like I said, we didn't really have a lot of recording studios or access to them. So
Yeah.
I learned how to produce. So my dad actually co-signed with me on my first professional keyboard.
Nice.
So, it was my dad that was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll take you to the studio until you get old enough to drive and take yourself." So
that's how it usually is.
Dad,
My dad's the same way.
dad pushing me
Yeah.
that way. But I think for my mom's, kind of being like, "Nah, you're going to school. I don't think this is possible." That's where that whole hustle mentality, that grind was like, "Nah, hell no. I'm gonna prove to you that I can do this." The first thing that I was able to do to prove to my mom that I had made it was actually performing on Soul Train for the first time. So
wow, and that was way later in your career. That's after everything. And
so I mean, like,
yeah.
that's
No,
when she
like
was
I
like,
said,
"Okay."
because that's true. Because like I said, a lot of people, once again, so many people will look up to an artist like you, and they be like, they get discouraged, especially now with streaming and all the bad things you hear about the industry. People feel like, people don't support me, so I'm not going to do it. And I want to ask this
Right.
question right now. A major turning point in high school. This is a crazy story that I was looking at, that a young lady tried to basically pin a baby on you. And
Yeah.
how did that situation affect you as far as your music?
As far as my music, it didn't affect me in a negative way. It gave me that. I almost looked like, once all that stuff kind of came out, I looked at it like I had a second shot. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have anything that could hold me back, like I did then. Because I was like, okay, I got to be a father, I got to make moves a particular kind of way. And so once everything kind of unfolded and it turned out not to be my kid, I was like, okay, this is my second shot to not screw it up. And now I can really go hard. I can really do the stuff that I need to do. So it was a positive for me from a music perspective. Absolutely.
For sure, for sure. Now, coming into rap, one thing I've noticed from your music, and just like what sets you apart, was that you take your flow and your wordplay very, very seriously. Uh, you know, why do you take wordplay and flow so seriously?
Yeah, it was because of New York.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. Got you.
And I'm being honest, man. Like, so coming from the South, if you were going to get any cosign from New York at all, you
Yeah.
had to know how to rap. You had to be a wordsmith. You had to be
Yeah.
able to be diverse. So it was like, for me, I just came up in the era where I couldn't get away with simplistic, rap. I had to not
Mm.
only be good with my wordplay, I had to also have good delivery and different styles that I could play with to set myself apart. So that's one of the main reasons why, I
Mm.
take that serious.
Yeah. And I do want to ask this question now. Now, independent, you something that I did notice too, like, about you being from the South and being from a small city in the South. Now, you was independent before independent became popular. You definitely like
Yeah.
knew about being independent. Like, what made you understand to be independent so young?
So for me, it was just really that's all we had. Like
Mm.
the only thing that I had at the time was the ability to go out, put the music out on CDs and tapes and move around. And so again, like coming from an area where you didn't have access to everything, you had to have, like, I call it just a business mentality. You
Yeah,
you
yeah.
had to have that business mentality to say, okay, if I want people to know about me, I can't be afraid to communicate. I got to go out and actually move and make these moves myself. And so doing that, I started to network with a lot of different people that could add to what I was doing. And that's kind of what gave me that whole
Mm.
independent, mind frame from an early start.
For sure, for sure. And then, being that, like I said, you signed your first, with your group at the time, you signed to Mirror Image Records. How was that
Yeah.
experience signing with an independent label? Like, so you like, being independent, but then signing with a major, with an independent label. How was that experience for you?
At first it was pretty cool, man. Like Lil Jon and the East Side Boys was actually artists on the same label.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Cool Ace, yeah, Cool Ace and Nivea as well. And the guy that owned the label, he was really, really cool with Pimp C and Bun B,
Mm,
as well as MC Breed. So
mm,
I was able to, and George Clinton as
yeah.
well. So I was able to, get around a lot of the people who I actually looked up to at that particular time by being on that label. And it
Mm.
was cool, man. It was cool until I started to understand the business. You know, at first it
Yeah.
was like, yeah, we're going to the studio, we're recording, we're doing shows, this, that, and the third. But then, when it started talking about, okay, we're doing a lot of stuff, but I don't see no money. Like I thought we're
Mm.
supposed to get paid,
Yeah, yeah,
from doing this music thing. And then,
yeah.
going through that once the business came into it,
Mm.
that's when I was like, yeah, this is cool no more.
Got you,
Yeah.
got you. And then fast forward now, you broke, you kind of left the group, you kind of relocated and things like that. And your first, I guess I would say breakout single or introduction single, "Give Me a Break," which was
Yep.
self-produced. Like what made you just say, you know what, I gotta step out of my comfort zone, but be in a group? Because you never seemed like the type to be comfortable being but solo. But what made you want to do your
Yeah.
first record? "Give Me a Break."
Um, Again, understanding the business. So like at the same time when we were signed to Mirror Image, the
Mm,
group that I was in was actually signed to a independent record label as well. Right. So again, like I said, it was 10 of us, but we had groups within that whole
mm,
segment of people. So myself and another partner of mine, we had a group together and we were signed to Mirror Image together as
mm.
that group.
Okay.
The overall group, the Red Clay Warriors, was actually signed to a independent deal as well. And so the business part of it is basically why I went solo, because none of us understood the business. And so when that guy came
Yeah.
and he was asking, who produced the tracks, I was like, me. Well,
Mm,
who wrote on the, we went through every song we had. It was like, so 90% of the songs I wrote the hook for.
mm.
Certain individuals in the group I actually wrote their verses for on some of the songs.
Yeah.
And so because of that, from a business perspective, he was saying, well, because you've done so much, your percentage has to be higher than theirs.
Mm.
And they were like, well, we're all one group, so we all should get paid equally. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but you're all not doing equal work. And so, man, it just came a situation where it was just like, okay, either I step away so that we can make this equal.
Mm.
I'll either be a producer and I'll leave the rap part alone, and I'll still be a member, but I just be a producer, or I'll be a rapper and we'll just find beats from some other people. But no matter which way I tried to spin it, they didn't want to do any of it. They wanted me to do all of what I was doing, but they still wanted me to get paid the
Paid the
same
same
thing that they
way.
were. And so, man, it just caused
Yeah,
so many different conflicts
I got you.
within the group. To it's like, you know what, man, I just
Yeah,
I'm out, man. So,
yeah, I feel
yeah,
you.
so I ended up going solo just because of
Yeah.
understanding how business works.
Yeah, but like I said, that's the good thing about learning because and I'm gonna keep reiterating through this interview that a lot of artists they don't understand a lot of the business. They just say like, especially now with social media, everybody just peaks and then that's it. They don't have nothing else to the longevity. So at going
Right.
solo, at what point did you meet Mr. Collipark? Like, what point did you meet Collipark?
So after I did Give Me a Break, which I felt like was gonna be the last song that I ever did, because I was
Yeah,
just like, man, I've already been solo, I've done the independent thing. You know what? Maybe this music thing probably just some give me a break. So I did Give Me a Break, and my manager at the time had his own retail music store. And
mm,
so Mr. Collipark would actually come in, get scans for some of the Yin Yang Twin
mm,
albums when that was the whole hustle. And so he was playing the song, and he was like, "Who is that?" He was like, "Man, that's my artist I've been telling you about." He was like, "Let's talk." And so
yeah,
after that, man, that's just how he and I kind of
got you.
got introduced. But
Yeah,
after I did Give Me a Break, after he heard that was the song of mine that he heard. It was like, okay, this dude is actually serious. So
yeah,
yeah.
and for sure. And I want to ask this, like, it always seems like that, like you ready to quit, and then you get with Collipark, and then he wanted you to do a record with the Yin Yang Twins called Halftime. That was my record in college. I was in college when that record came out. That was my jam. So,
Okay.
how was that experience? Like, being independent and going through all this. Like, what in your head is like now you're finally recording with a major group at this point. How was that? How was that experience?
I was still burnt out, man. Like I didn't
Mm,
I didn't care who Mr. Collipark were at that
wow.
time.
Okay.
Uh, and being honest with you, man, it could have been Jermaine Dupri, and I still would have had
Wow.
the same feelings because I was like, man, I've been down this road before,
Yeah.
and I've signed 2 independent record deals. Now
Mm-hmm.
you're coming in, you're saying, so honestly, man, like the conversation for me and him, like after he sent me the instrumental for the track halftime, I actually wrote my verse on my way to the studio to record it.
Mm,
Had never met Ying Yang or anything.
yeah.
And so haven't even met Mr. Collipark in person at that particular
Oh
time.
wow. Okay.
And yeah, so man, once we got to the studio and we recorded it, he was just like, "Man, I want to sign you, man. What is it gonna take?" I was like, "Bro, I don't want to sign another record deal." He was like, "Man, just
Mm,
what is it, man? What can I do?" And I was like, "Look, bro, the only way I'm gonna sign a deal now is I'm gonna have to be on TV. I'm gonna have to be on the radio because I want to show my mama that I can really, do
yeah.
what I said I'm gonna do." And so, like I said, the first thing I did was the performance for Soul Train, which was the first time that I actually met D-Rock and Kane for the first time.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's crazy. And but like I said, unfortunately, that's how the music business goes. And okay, so you finally get this. So after the Soul Train performance and the record, you finally signed on paper to Collipark, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah. So yeah,
yeah,
at that point, I just felt like, well, man, this guy has proven
yeah,
he did everything that I asked, of him.
yeah,
Now it's time to talk money. And that's when, man, like
yeah.
everything was good for a little while. But then again, understand the business and certain things started, I was like, here we go again. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
man. And I do want to ask this, right? So I want to ask, let's get into some music business topics for a quick second, right? So now you've
Mhm.
done all this. You've been in two independent deals. You sign a sort of major deal in a sense, and then what are some things you've been on soundtracks? You can use on the soundtrack, Coach Carter soundtrack, the WWE's soundtrack and stuff like that. What is, in your opinion, what are some things that you feel new artists should look out for in contracts?
Perpetuity clause.
Forever. If you don't know what that means, perpetuity means for forever.
Yeah, man. Perpetuity clause. Um,
Yeah.
Also, in a contract, understanding what you have rights to and what you don't have rights to.
Mm.
I didn't have the best attorney. So my manager found my attorney, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't know until probably about 5 years ago that the way he found my attorney was through Mr. Collipark's attorney saying, "Hey man, I got an attorney for y'all." so
That's
so it
crazy.
was a lot, yes, it was a lot of things in my contract that probably would have never been in my contract had I had a attorney that wasn't cool
Yeah.
with the attorney of the label, right?
Yeah.
So I will also say, even outside of the contract, make sure that whoever is representing you, make sure you understand what their relationship looks like with the people that you're about to sign with. Because if they're
Mm.
all in the bed with each
They
other,
all friends.
somebody
Yeah, they all
cheating,
friends. Yep, they all friends. Yeah, yeah. And I
right?
did. I want to touch on this, right? Because this is something that's very, very particular to your story as well. Now, your turning point was, you had a video shoot, and according to Collipark, you had brought a female to the video shoot. You guys kind of had a clash, and you know, I want to ask this: do you feel like overall from that situation, because from that situation on, you've been independent. Do you feel like that actually helps your career or hurts your career?
Um, so I have to answer that by giving y'all, because I didn't never tell the story.
Yeah.
So what happened was, so I have three daughters.
Mm.
My old biological daughter, me and her mother was together at the time.
Mm.
And so, of course, this is my first major, video shoot. My sister wants to come. My baby mama wants to come. Some of my homeboys want to come. The
Yeah.
night before the video shoot, Mr. Collipark called me. He was like, "Hey man, just want to holler at you real quick. Who all you got coming to the video shoot?" And I was like, "Well, my sister, my homeboy Pooh, my homeboy Eagle, my baby mama." And he was like, "Well, uh, you might want to leave your baby mama at home." So that's how he said it at first. I was like, "I think everything will be cool, bro." He was like, "Well, it might be some scenes where we may have some strippers or something." I said, "Well, I said what I'll do is I'll let her know that, and then if she don't feel comfortable, then
Mm.
cool. I just at home, man, and we'll just keep it moving."
Yeah.
And then so she and I had a conversation. She was like, I'm cool, So I was just like, "Hey man, she said she cool with it." He was like, "Well, now I'm telling you, if she comes, we gonna have a problem." I'm like, "So whoa, wait a minute, bro." So I'm just like, "How you gonna try to tell me that my baby mama can't come to my video shoot, and if she do, we gonna have a problem?" "Man, I don't went through this with D-Rock and Kane and this and the third. I'm telling you, if she show up, we got a problem." And as a grown man, because I wasn't a kid, so as a grown man, when another grown man is trying to tell you what you can and what you can't do,
You're
and
gonna
if
have a
you do,
problem with
y'all,
it.
I'm like, we already got a problem before
Yeah.
we even before anybody show up.
Right, right, right.
We already have a problem. And so what made it worse, and what he didn't say, was when we shot the video, he was just letting people in. He let a lot of his homeboys in. He was just letting other people homeboys in. He was letting people in who had homeboy who were just part of a crew,
Mm.
right? So when my sister and my baby mama at the time showed up, and my partner Pooh, they were like, "No, y'all can't get in." And my sister was like, "Why can't I get in? This is my brother's video shoot." And so
Yeah.
from there, of course, you're making something escalate, especially when they see everybody else. You're letting everybody else in, but you're specifically not letting them in. Yeah, you probably are going to have some issues. So when he was like, somebody was acting a donkey, probably so, because it's apparent that you're trying to keep these people out, but you're okay with everybody else coming in. So
Yeah, man. That's how it that's the stupid part. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
he
so
basically because basically he was
to me,
causing, he's trying to play you in a way. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
right. So like I said, man, at that point, I was, leading up to that, there were certain things that happened. Like, for example,
Mm.
I ended up signed to Asylum Warner,
Mm.
but we had $1 million deal that we signed with EMI through John Platt. For people who don't know who
And
it is,
okay,
Big
so
John.
basically now I'm gonna break this down for artists. So one is a record contract and the other one's a publishing deal. So if you don't know what that's the difference. So that's what he's explaining right now for those who are listening.
And so with John, we signed the information. We waiting for everything to come through. We waiting for the signed signature from them back to us, right?
Mm.
But then that's when Jermaine Dupri was actually going to be, I think, president of the urban department of EMI, whatever happened at that time. And so, from my understanding, what I was told was there was a conversation between Mr. Park and Jermaine Dupri.
Yeah.
Jermaine was like, "Nope, I'm not giving y'all no $1 million deal." I don't know what the number that he threw out, but then he was like, "Also, we want 50%. I want to produce 50% of the album, and I want Brat to write 50% of the album." So I was like,
That's
nah,
crazy.
I mean, I like Brat, she cool, but I can hold my own. I don't need a writer. So again, I understand the business. I ain't even mad at Jermaine for saying, "Hey, I'm gonna make sure all my people eat," off of this situation.
Yeah.
But Mr. Paul saying no, I'm not mad at that either. But we had a bidding war going on. We had Def Jam who wanted to sign me. We had TVT. We had Sony, as well as the whole thing with Asylum Warner. And so I had asked Smurf, I'm like, okay, well, since we're not going with, EMI, so we're going to go on over with KP, Kawan Prather, over at Sony when he was over there with Sony. He was like, nah. I was like, why not? Well, I kind of told everybody that we had already signed a deal. I'm like, what? How you going to tell people we signed a deal before we got the deal, right? So, and again, me already had gone through being a businessman in this myself. I'm like, bro, you don't let your right hand know what your left hand doing. And that's exactly what I said to him. So we had already started, it had started getting ugly, man. And then with the whole thing with the Where They At song, it was my song first, featuring B. We did a licensing agreement so that BG could release his own version of it.
Yeah, because I want to ask about that, because we're going to talk about that in a quick second too. Like
And so once we did that, we got the video, but BG and I never performed that song together ever since that day. We did the video and that was it. So I was like, damn, bro, like, so when all of that stuff is going on, bro, like I honestly felt like what I asked for out of the music industry, I got exactly what I asked for. I was able to prove to my mom I could do it on a major scale. I was able to do that. The song was in movies, video games. I was on DJ Khaled's first album with Scrappy. So I mean, man, I've done so much to where I felt like what I asked for, I got that tenfold. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Did I become a household name? Nah. But
I don't look at it like that. Like, I don't look at it like that. And if it clicks off, we're gonna click back on as well too. I'm gonna edit it, so don't worry about it. And even like with the song, I would give me a break with the Nell Carter sample, right? And that was another thing I was looking at too. That it started giving you sample clearance issues as well too. Like, what advice? That didn't happen. Okay.
Yeah. So we could have gotten clearance. The problem was I produced the track 100%.
Yeah.
Mr. Collipark didn't produce any of the track.
Yeah.
So cut didn't make sense for what they were asking for the sample clearance. It was like, well, I'm not gonna make that much money off of it if we do clear it. So let's just find another record. So yeah.
Now I do want to ask this question too, man. Like, you received now after all of this, and you finally found out that from the BG licensing deals, the song with the BG, the license deal, you only receive $1 in royalties because of what you signed. Crazy.
Well, it was actually not the royalties. It was actually the so like when you do a licensing agreement, you get upfront money.
Okay.
Right. So Mr. Collipark and team had got whatever it was that they were. I don't even know how much the licensing deal was for. I just know after I did I had a case study done on my situation, is where the professor who was teaching that course was like, hey, bro, he gave me $1. He said, I was like, what's this for? He was like, well, that's all you owe. I was like, what? So I mean, man, yeah, bro, like
you've been through
it. I mean, now, man, I went through that. I also went through, my attorney was supposed to do my publishing paperwork for me. I actually paid him. He didn't do it. So I actually had to go back and do that myself, which ultimately gave me back payment of money that I never received.
Yeah.
because again, so man, I'm telling you, bro, like it
Yeah.
was the business for me.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Now we're gonna jump around a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, the independent album, How to Tame an Elephant, you know what I'm saying? The documentary's out now. Now you're a family man,
Mhm.
you a mentor. You know what I'm saying? What made you put out the documentary finally about your life?
I just want to be able to tell my story. I
Mm,
hope, coming from a small town that probably not many people have ever heard of,
yeah,
I just wanted to inspire someone else who may be from a small town or maybe even from a big city that feel like because they're where they're at, they can't navigate the waters. I'm like, man, don't think that way. Like if I can make it out of a city with one high school, I'm sure
yeah, yeah,
others do the same thing, man, because the
yeah.
world is a whole lot different now. You got more access to people. So I just wanted to
Mhm.
tell my story to hopefully to inspire somebody else to be able to do it.
For sure. And the album is fire, by the way. I you know I don't like I listen to Southern music, but I listen to more like underground rap. So How
Right.
to Tame an Elephant. What inspired that title as well? Like what made that title? Because like I said, you got Killer Mike who just won all them Grammys, and you got
Yeah.
Mr. Rude, and you got the Atlanta, the pillars of Atlanta. You feel me? What inspired that title?
I was thinking about how they actually tame elephants. They take
Mm,
elephants when they're young, they saw the razor blades into chains. So when they move, they get cut. Over time, it's a mental condition where they feel like if, as long as I feel something around my leg, I know I can't break free. So I
wow.
feel like as artists, we get done the same way. A lot of times artists get bad information when they first
Mm.
start. Like, yeah, man, your first deal won't be your best deal. And if you hit that and you get that in
Yeah,
your mentality, you will always think that you're powerless, or you
yeah,
won't even think that you have as much power as you do.
yeah,
So I was just like, you know what, man, the same thing that happens to elephants, it's the same thing that happened to us as artists, but we're more powerful than we give our credit, ourselves credit for. So I just felt
yeah,
like having that title would just say everything
yeah.
that I wanted to say. Basically,
That's
my
a fire.
story.
That's definitely a fire title for both the documentary and the EP. Excuse me, the album. Excuse me. And I do one of my
Yeah,
last questions. I do want to ask this, right? And this is something I kind of was like, but you put it in there. You was very honest in the
yeah,
documentary. Mr. Collipark says something very particular, and I don't know if anybody caught it. He said you should have listened. And
yeah.
then, and that was very Nick with me. You know, how do you feel like, you know, do you feel like major labels have your best interests at heart, or do you feel like they just make worried about making a quick dollar?
I mean, it's business. They have their best interests.
Yeah.
You're just a product,
Mm,
and as long as you're making them money, they'll do whatever they need to do in order to keep money rolling in. But as soon as that product is no longer bringing in the revenue that they wanted, then hey, let me move on to the next product, right?
yeah.
So I mean, that's one thing artists have to understand. When you are signed to a label, you are a product of that label, and they're
Yeah.
only going to do what that product is allowing them to do. So
Yeah.
at that point, you start giving them trouble. You know what? Let us move our focus somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like for him to say that, I mean, maybe he feel like I could have been larger than what I did, and that's cool. But
Yeah.
I also would say that I ain't hurting for nothing.
Yeah, and then my very, very, very last question before we get out of here, homeboy, is
Yeah.
this, right? Now, you were even and something that was very particular, I saved this for last, was that you all while going through all of this, you were going through and still doing music and traveling and being in studios, you still had a regular job. And a lot of people don't know that. So with that being said, my very last question is this. What advice do you have for anyone trying to get into the music business right now?
Keep your day job first because you got to have money to invest in yourself. Um, don't be lazy. You know, understand the business. Start looking at podcasts. Start like yourself. Get educated. Read some books. uh, understand how the money moves because if you don't understand how the money moves, you're always gonna make bad decisions, right? So
Yeah.
those are the top things. And I would say this too: instead of pushing out 100 songs, take a song and put some focus behind that one song because I think a lot of time artists feel like if I put out 100 songs, one of them will catch. Well, you have 100 million artists putting out 100 songs.
Yeah.
Nah, man, you have to take time to actually start marketing the songs that you put out, and then if they don't work, move on to something else.
Yeah.
But in the process of marketing, you will start building a name for yourself. Just putting out a whole bunch of music don't do that for you.
There you go. And on that note, we are out of here. Griffin, Georgia's own, the South legend, homeboy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Where can they find you on? I mean, they can't find you, but where can they find you, independent artist style? Where can they find you? Where can they get your music? All of that.
Yeah, man. So Homebwoi, and I spell it HOMEBWOI. Twitter is Homebwoi, Instagram, the real Homebwoi, Facebook, Homebwoi. Pretty much type in Homebwoi the way that I spell it, and everything is gonna pop up. So I'm the only one with that name the way that it's spelled.
You know this man is DJ Chase. I know that was crazy. My trademark, my name, my DJ Chase name, I just got approved for it, so I'm happy. It took me a year to fight for my name, but I got it. You know this man, DJ Chase, the pregame party of podcast right here on WDJC DB DJ Chase Radio. We got the one, the only Homebwoi. The Fire album. Go stream it. How to Tame an Elephant is a classic Southern album, Southern rap, as that classic sound that you like. Not just trap, it's just classic Southern music. The documentary out now on Tubi, How to Tame an Elephant, blasting off. You know this man is DJ Chase, the pregame party of podcast, DJChaseRadio.com and DJChase.net. Yeah.